Harper woke to the faint patter of the wind brushing against the window, a soft and steady rhythm that reminded her of a lullaby almost forgotten. For a moment she lay still, letting the quiet surround her. The other side of the bed remained perfectly undisturbed. The pillow was smooth, untouched, and the blanket carried no trace of warmth. Only a hollow outline lingered, a reminder of where Cole used to rest. She reached her hand across the sheets, fingertips skimming over fabric that felt colder than memory itself. 2 days had passed since he walked away carrying a half-filled suitcase, his expression caught somewhere between sorrow and resignation. He hadn't explained where he was going, and she hadn't asked. Not because she didn't long to know, but because asking would have meant facing a truth her heart was too fragile to bear. The house was silent, but not in a comforting way. It was the kind of stillness that made absence louder, that magnified the emptiness. Once, the walls had held laughter, late-night conversations, and the tender sounds of two people weaving dreams together. Now the quiet pressed down on her, heavy and suffocating, echoing with pieces of what had been. Time no longer felt real. The clock ticked on her nightstand, but the numbers had lost their meaning. She forced herself from the bed, her steps weighed down as though grief had become a physical weight. In the kitchen, the coffee machine sat untouched, as lifeless as everything else around her. She made coffee anyway, not for comfort, but for the familiar ritual of it. Her mind drifted back to the first time she'd met Cole, in a bustling university cafe. He had been shy, almost clumsy, yet he kept returning just to catch sight of her. She remembered finding his persistence endearing, his nervous smile disarming. Their first date had been nothing grand, a simple walk in the park. He held her hand with sweaty palms, awkward but honest. Back then, it had felt like enough. They believed love alone could shield them from anything life threw their way. And for a time, it seemed true. He was the dreamer, the spark that made the ordinary glow, while she was the one who grounded them, steady and dependable. Together they made sense, fitting into each other's gaps like puzzle pieces. But love, even theirs, wasn't immune to strain. The fractures began small, unpaid bills, forgotten dinners, careless words. At first, they shrugged them off, but over time, small grievances sharpened into arguments, then into silences that lasted too long. The nights once spent tangled together ended with their backs turned. The laughter faded. The idea of children rekindled their hope for a while. They spent hours imagining names, colors for a nursery, and the joy of watching a part of themselves grow in a child. But each month ended in disappointment, until the truth was undeniable. Harper's body could not carry a child. She felt her worst fear solidify into reality, that she was broken, that she had stolen something from him. Cole had tried to reassure her. Adoption, treatments, options. He had been ready for anything. He took her hands in his, whispered that love was enough, but she couldn't look at him without seeing what she believed she had denied him. Slowly, she built walls he couldn't scale. She stopped talking about tomorrow. She avoided his touch. Though he begged her to speak, to share her pain, she couldn't find the words that didn't sound like defeat. Their arguments grew sharper, but beneath every quarrel about trivial things, cereal left on the counter, trash forgotten, was the deeper wound they both avoided. Until finally, Cole stopped trying. No more pleading, no more shouting. Just silence. That silence cut deeper than words ever had. And now, 2 days after he left, Harper sat alone in their kitchen. An envelope lay on the table, its stark lettering from a law office promising an ending neither of them had wanted to name. Today was the day they were meant to sign away 10 years of marriage. At the lawyer's office, Harper found herself seated across from Cole. He looked composed but weary, his eyes carrying a storm of feelings she could not decipher. The lawyer read the terms in a flat, practiced tone, as though this were nothing more than paperwork. Harper's hand trembled as she took the pen. When she dared glance up, Cole was staring at her, his gaze not filled with anger or resentment, but something else, something raw and unspoken. Just as she lowered the pen, his voice cut through the silence. "Stop. Don't sign it." Her breath hitched. The room seemed to freeze around them. "I know," he said quietly. "I know you're sick." The words struck her like a blow. For a moment, she couldn't breathe. Her lips parted, but all she managed was a whisper. "What did you just say?" "I know you have cancer," he repeated, steady but pained. She tried to deny it, But Cole's voice was unwavering. He had found the test results she had hidden away, assuming he would never discover them. But of course, he had gone back, of course, he had looked. The strength she had been clinging to crumbled. "I didn't want you to stay because of pity," she whispered. "I didn't want you trapped." His hand found hers. Even after everything, his touch felt like home. "You think I'd let you face this alone? You think love disappears because it's hard? I haven't stopped loving you." Tears blurred her vision. She looked into his eyes and saw not just affection, but a fierce, enduring love that had weathered storms she thought had destroyed them. Cole squeezed her hand, voice trembling but resolute. "We'll fight this together. One day at a time." The lawyer, sensing what had just shifted, closed the folder and slipped the papers away. No signatures. No ending. Just two people choosing to begin again. When Cole asked softly, "Shall we go home?" Harper realized that home wasn't walls or furniture. It was him. And for the first time in years, she smiled. The months that followed tested them in ways they had never imagined. Hospital corridors, chemotherapy sessions, nights filled with pain and exhaustion. But Cole never left her side. He read to her when she couldn't sleep, brought flowers when she felt hollow, and reminded her constantly that she was not facing this alone. And slowly, Harper rediscovered something she thought she had lost, the ability to dream. Not of the children they never had, but of mornings shared over coffee, of walks side by side, of simple joys that felt profound simply because they were together. Nearly 2 years later, the call came. Remission. The word felt like sunlight breaking through endless clouds. That night, Cole prepared a quiet dinner, nothing elaborate, just warmth and hope. Afterward, he placed a small velvet box in front of her. Inside was a ring, delicate and shining. His voice broke as he said, "I know we're already married, but I want to renew our vows, not just for the good days, but with the full weight of what we've been through. I want to promise again, this time knowing what forever really means." Harper couldn't find words, only tears. She nodded, and he slipped the ring onto her finger, sealing it with a kiss that carried everything they had endured. Months later, in the garden behind their home, surrounded by friends and family, they stood once more. This time their vows were not naive dreams, but lived truths. "In sickness and in health" was no longer a phrase, it was their reality. As they kissed beneath a sky scattered with blossoms, Harper understood at last, love was not about perfection. It was about choosing, again and again, to stay. Even when leaving would be easier. The future was still uncertain, but now it was a road they would walk hand in hand. Their love, tested and tempered, was no fragile thing. It had been forged in fire, and it would endure.